Hey everybody, it's Shaggysshed here. I just wanted to take a minute before the interview started to talk about a few things with you guys. So first off, I wanted to thank a lot of the people that had helped me with getting as many eyes to the stream as possible for the interview, especially because it was my first interview. So that would be YouBeeBeeWhy and Bonjali. They both have Twitch channels, and I'll be posting their Twitch links in the description below. They both rated me during the stream to help bring in more viewers, and I really do appreciate that. It helped out a lot. I also wanted to talk about the merchandise that I had purchased from Mission Man. I got the Mission Man jersey style tank top. It is with his logo on the front, and on the back it has the 13 with the Mission Man written on top. I had also purchased his album from him, the new one that we were discussing. It's Gummy. And he also signed it for me, and I wanted to read what he had wrote. So he says, "Shaggy, this is the copy I held up on screen during the greatest Twitch interview of all time. It should be glittering by now. Thanks for having me on and for all the support. I had a great time. Mission Man." He also sent some stickers too, which was nice of him. But on the topic of support, I wanted to talk about how easy it is to help people and how you can help support people in their creative adventures, whether that's streaming on Twitch, whether that is doing music, whether that's doing YouTube, or whether it's a mixture of all of it. I went the extra mile and I bought some merchandise, and I don't regret it in any way. I really like everything that I got, and I'm happy with it, and it really helped him, and it really helped Mission Man feel really good about everything that he was doing, which is a rewarding thing for myself. As well, I wanted to show that it's as simple as just turning on the video and letting the video play and giving it that view time, helping it with the algorithm and such. During the time that I've made this interview, I've already gotten to play through a few of his videos and stuff. So with all of that said, I'd like to thank Mission Man for taking the chance and coming on, letting me do an interview with him and stuff like that, especially not knowing anything about the type of content that I do. I would also like to once again thank YouBeeBeeWhy and Bonjali for taking the time and helping me by bringing in more viewers and stuff. I really do appreciate that during my first interview and during the interview with Mission Man. So thank you guys once again, and enjoy the interview. And let me go ahead and introduce the one, the only, there we are, Mission Man.
Hello.
Let me see if it did. Nope, it did it. Damn it. 1 second. I'm gonna get it right one of these days. There it is. Woo! All right. Okay, so before we start, there is something that I do have to say, and that is, wait. Happy birthday! There it is.
Thank you.
I've been avoiding saying it just for that bit right there. So. All right.
What's the wait? All right. Well, I mean, I guess, my new album's out today. It's obviously my birthday. You just gave me a nice little celebration. And Gummy is my 14th album. And if I scoot back, you can see where it goes in the discography shirt. Yeah. MissionMan.net's my website if you guys aren't familiar with me. And if you are, thanks for stopping by.
Should we actually show the video? We'll show your video bio and let everyone kind of get a taste of who the real Mission Man is.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go, everybody. So this video brings up actually a lot of like the things I wanted to discuss with you and stuff, and like especially the part where you said that you get a lot of like harsh comments and stuff like that, but it doesn't bother you. And I think that is something that a lot of people should like take in. I think you really do it in such a fascinating way, and because you've done these amazing things. Like I saw that your music got played on Jimmy Fallon. Because it got played on Jimmy Fallon, you were able to get on the top 20 or what was it, top 30 chart with
yeah, I was number 23 on the Denmark iTunes hip hop chart.
Yes. It's like, and that is so wild, and it all just came from being like having that tenacity that you have, keep going back at it, and taking everything with stride, and like those types of things is one of the big reasons why I wanted to reach out and talk with you is because I think that anybody and everybody, whether it's music or whether it's anything in their life, that they can learn a lot from it. And I think you could probably explain it the best to us. So
Yeah, well, I mean, with music especially, it's probably true for just about anything with entrepreneurs. You're gonna get so much rejection that you just have to be able to accept it, because it's not like I booked this tour in 2003 where I sent out 200 physical demos. This is, well before the internet, just sending CDs out, and I booked 9 shows out of those 200 demos.
Right.
So it's a 95% rejection rate. But more importantly, it's a 4% acceptance rate, 4.5. And so that's how you had to look at it. You can either have it kind of weigh down on you and just be like crippling because there is a lot of negative feedback. But there are extremely, like, there's just amazing feedback as well. Like, I've had somebody tell me that he met his future wife at one of my house shows in Athens, Ohio, and they're still married now. Like, it's just amazing little things like that that add up to just tremendous big things along the way. And it's all because you have to just, take the acceptance and kind of push out all the bad feedback.
Yeah. And I think that's like, and like I said, I think anybody can learn from that. And I don't know, it's just super amazing to hear that. And it's, so it kind of leads me into like how I found you actually. So there was an ad that I came across, which I have found you and a couple other musicians just clicking on random ads and stuff like that. But the ad that I saw from you was this one that says, you are extra amazing. It's 4 seconds long. I'll just play it really fast.
Just a quick reminder, you are extra amazing.
That was it. That was all you said, is just quick reminder, you're extra amazing. And I was genuinely baffled and confused. And I was like, what is he trying to sell me? Like, my brain went to, what is this guy like? What is he doing, huh? What's his whole channel about? So I clicked on your channel and realized you did music and just kind of deep dove on you. And just, And after that, I just learned so much about you and stuff. And now I got you here. So.
And yeah, I mean, that's a natural reaction. You're seeing an ad. Obviously, there's got to be something there, right? So I'm like, either somebody's going to watch that and they're just going to feel better about their day, or they're going to ignore it as an ad, or they're going to go check out my stuff. But even if they don't check out my stuff, I've still made a positive impact on somebody's day. So that's why it was money well spent to me, even if they never check out my stuff, because I'm making a positive impact, and that's part of why I make music.
That's well, I mean, it made a lasting impression with me. So, but I wanted to ask if you don't mind, if you feel uncomfortable, by all means. But what kind of what did that cost you and stuff to do just a quick ad like that? And does it go by like the seconds, or how does that whole thing work?
So with YouTube, it depends on what kind of ad I'm running. So you can do the skippable ads and non-skippable ads. But on average, I think at that point when I was doing that ad, it was anywhere between 1 and 2 cents every time somebody watched it.
Okay.
So, depending on how much I bid for the day, sometimes I was spending $10 a day. Sometimes it was $1. And then, I turn it off every once in a while because I only have so much money to do it. But
right. Yeah. Well, if you had it on the day I watched it, you probably got like 10 cents off me at least. Oh yeah, there was something that I saw in one of your videos, and it's that you put your pants on 2 legs at a time. You care to comment on that?
I put my pants on 2 legs at a time, just like everyone else.
There's just a saying that I put my pants on one leg at a time. It's just like everybody else. And every time I see that, I'm like, I just put them on both at once. I mean, like sometimes I put them on one at a time, but I will sit at the edge of my bed and just pull them both up at the same time. And the point is, I think with that is it's funny, yes, especially in that video format, but it's also playing on the idea that what is normal anyway? Like, is it normal to put on 1 leg at a time? Is it normal to put on 2? Does it really matter? We're all doing the same thing, just in different ways, I guess. It's just things that unite us as opposed to weird sayings.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that you started back in the early 90s, right?
Yeah, I started rapping in 1992.
1992. I was 2.
I was a little more than 2. I was 13. Enough that I could talk.
So, and you had also made a statement. I had gone through and read something like your like a little bit about your bios and everything else, and in a couple of spots that you said that you started in what was it, like 98? You started doing like actual production and stuff, or?
Yeah, so my musical kind of growth there started off. My first album was just me, and I was using a keyboard as a beat machine. Essentially, I was just pressing play and changing chord structure and stuff like that.
Right.
But there was one day when I was trying to record a friend of mine on my Sound Blaster Live card. This is how bad this technology was, and he was trying to play guitar on it, and it wasn't working. And I'm like, well, it works fine for what I do. And he goes, well, it may work for me. It may work for what you do, but it doesn't work for music. And at that point, I was just like, wow, that is like the most ruthless, hardcore thing I think anybody has said to me up to that point. And then I started thinking about it. You know, there are limitations to just using the keyboard as a beat machine. I should learn how to play my own instruments. And so there are several albums that I have that are almost impossible to get a hold of now because they were learning experiments, essentially. You know, I was playing the bass, the guitar, the keyboard, but I was all self-taught, and it's terrible production. A lot of it's just completely out of time. So there were like 3 albums where I kind of went backwards in order to go forwards because of that moment.
I mean, I have to hear it. One of these days, you and I can go offline. One of these days, you're going to have to show me though, man. It's so like, I love seeing the whole progression of everything. But so what programs then did you start with? So if you started like going into the actual production away from keyboards and stuff, what programs were out in the 90s?
I can't even remember what I used with the Sound Blaster Live card because that was like 1999, and I think it was whatever was just included with Windows at the time.
Okay.
But the first one that I bought was an M Delta 8-track kind of external sound card, and it came with Vegas by Sonic Foundry at the time.
Okay.
They've been bought out by somebody now. I don't know if it's Adobe or somebody else. Somebody bought Vegas at some point. Sony.
You're
maybe.
talking Sony Vegas, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Vegas 1.0. I don't know what version they're on now, but that's what I was with for a long time, and I kept that until my desktop died, and I switched over to start recording in laptops.
Okay.
And switched over to Reaper, which is what I still use now.
Okay, because I was actually going to ask that as well, because I kind of seen it in the background of videos, and I personally do music myself as well. But yeah, I personally use Logic Pro X because I'm on a Mac for music, and then right now I'm on a PC for streaming. So I had to go through this long, laborious process of figuring out how I can have my Mac connected to a PC, which you're not supposed to do, but I figured it out, and it was like a half a year of just pain, and I'm still working on it. About your instruments, because I got really confused when I saw your album cover. You said, oh yeah, it's my bass, and I was like, that's your guitar, it's 6 strings, and then I realized you have a 6-string bass. What was the what was the reasoning behind getting a 6-string over just a normal 4 or even possibly just like a 5?
So I had the 4-string. It's out of sight of the thing, but I've had a 4-string for 20 years or so. My dad gave it to me around the same time he gave me my guitar in 1999. I used that 4-string up until probably 3 years ago, and my dad actually passed away in February of 2018. Oh,
sorry to hear that.
And one of the things that he still had in his house was that 6-string bass, and like, you know, I knew when he bought it, like he mentioned he bought it,
yeah,
and I knew it's something that he'd want me to have, so I took that and started using it. And I mean, I love the sound of it. I still basically use it as a 4-string,
right,
using the same notes that I did on the 4-string, but it's got a much better sound to me than the Music Master short scale that I had. So that's the reasoning now behind that 6-string.
Okay. And you said your dad had it for how long?
He only bought it maybe 2 years before he passed.
Okay.
So it was just something that he wanted. That he played bass in a band starting back in high school, I think, maybe even in college. And he did a bunch of cover band stuff, you know, playing like Louie Louie and things like that. So he'd been a bass player for a long time, and he just wanted a nice 6-string
nice.
later on.
Okay. Did you get inspired with music through your dad then, or mom as well? Or
the way I remember it, when I started rapping, I don't remember even realizing that my dad was a musician. It's because most of that stuff that he did, most of the music stuff that he did was before we were born. You know, once you have kids, a lot of times the equation changes, and
yeah, definitely.
You kind of have to, yeah, you choose the career that allows you to raise your kids, as opposed to, you know, choosing the music career if it comes to that. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can get both. but a lot of times you do have to make that choice. And so,
Yeah.
Music was still a hobby of his, but I don't think it was something that I was really aware of until several years after I started making music myself.
So you mentioned about having the separation sometimes, like once you have a kid, you kind of have to stop and stuff like that. Did you make it like a sole choice to not like pursue a family so you could pursue music, or?
So it's been more like I do want to get married and have kids, but I also kind of need some financial stability to do that.
Yeah. And with the way the world's going, it's crazier every day. So
yeah, and music is a very challenging field to make that happen in.
Definitely.
And so it's possible. I just haven't gotten to that point yet. And if I have to make that choice, I'll make it later on. But I think I'd still at least choose to continue making music, even if I kind of give up on the idea of making a living from it,
right.
Which is still in my mind. That's still, number one. What I want to do is make a living from it.
Oh, so I was watching one of your other videos. This one cracks me up. I was watching your unboxing video, actually, and I noticed that you have a keychain that you used your 1/4-inch jack on your keys to cut open the box.
Yes. So my niece for Christmas got me. It's a little Marshall half stack looking thing.
Okay.
That you act the way you hang it up as a key holder is actually with that 1/4-inch, and it plugs in, and there's actual resistance, just like you're plugging into an amp. So that plugs in there to keep my keys. I know where to put my keys.
So much more sense, because we were just like, did he just take that off of a line in cable and just okay, that's awesome.
They're magic keys. They're keys that plug into the amp, and I just play the keys.
Yeah, you fiddle the keys around, and cool solos come from it. What is you did a Kickstarter, I believe, for this album, correct?
Yes.
What is because I wasn't able to see the Kickstarter or anything like that. Were you like, what is it that the Kickstarter actually supports within the album and stuff?
That mainly paid for the CD manufacturing, because I got 50 copies of the physical CD made, and it cost me a couple $100 plus shipping, and then the cost of actually shipping those CDs out to people.
Okay. You have more CDs, right?
Yeah, I got those 50 made and sent out about 10, so I still have about 40.
Okay, cool. Because I'm getting me a signed Mission Man CD. So.
All right.
But let's see what else. So. Let's see, and then we've already talked about your equipment, and then I wanted to ask you about your shirt. So as well, I'm going to be getting a shirt from you tonight, and it's your basketball t-shirt design, and it's got a symbol on it, and I thought the symbol was super cool, and it's the reason why I'm leaning towards that one. So if you want to explain like where, and also I believe you make all your own symbols and everything, and all your own graphics, right?
I do a lot of my own stuff. I used to actually hard code my website. Now I'm on Bandzoogle, so I just kind of like do it quickly. But that particular one was well beyond any graphic design ability I had. So that was a friend of mine's husband, who is now also a friend of mine. I paid him to do that logo, but that logo is M squared, or actually mu squared, the Greek letter M.
Right.
With a Mobius strip wrapped around it, and then Mission Man on the sash, or the Mobius strip, however you want to look at it. And the M squared is for Mission Man. The backstory to the Mission Man's being M squared is that somebody at work said he used to call a friend of his S squared. So that's what they just popped in. It's like, oh, M squared. Okay, that's cool. I'll use that. I like it.
I was watching one of your older blogs that you were talking in, and you had mentioned you only had 534 subscribers, and that was back in 2020. And currently you have 2.21K, and which is almost quadruple from 2020. So it looks like you're getting a lot more like reception nowadays than it was before. And even in the blog, you were what was it? In the blog, though, you were wanting to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and I was actually really curious about that. In 2020, did you get to your 1,000 at the end of the year?
I think I hit it a little bit into 2021. I think it was around March or April when I actually hit that 1,000 subs.
Okay.
but that's off the top of my head. It's possible I hit it by the end of the year, but my memory is it is March, about 10 months ago, and then I hit the 2,000 subscribers and the watch hour time to get monetized like June of 2021. So.
Okay. So there's quotes that I had found from your Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. Applause for him. So one of my friends just rated us with 18 viewers. So for everyone that is new here, this is Mission Man. Mission Man has been making music since the 90s, and he's been on YouTube. And we're getting rated by another one of my friends for 12 people. So thank you guys so much for inviting people in. Go support him. He just released his album today. So some of the quotes that you'd said. So this is one of my favorite ones. You said, last year I took my first overseas trip. The longest flight I had ever been on before was probably 3 hours from Ohio to Phoenix. This one was 13. I decided to officially become international and look for an open mic in Tokyo. I love that you used the term that like you decided. And I mean, and like I was saying in the beginning, it is just about being like having that tenacity and going out. And you go on to say, before I left, I searched online with no luck, primarily because I can't read or speak Japanese. I posted on Facebook that I was looking for an open mic in Japan, and a fan of mine who saw me perform in Dayton, Ohio, and is currently living in Tokyo, told me about the Cosmos Cafe, and it's owned by a woman from Cleveland. 2 people who saw me perform there had also seen me perform in Columbus, Ohio. And that is amazing to me that you ended it. And I think that is so like almost unfathomable in a sense that these people from all the way in the States happen to see you out there and stuff. And that is so awesome. Just like I said, just putting yourself out there, you can really get a lot back from it.
Yeah. And that moment where I actually got that feedback too, I was like, wow, it's amazing how that works. Like I just asked and all this magic happened. And when I actually went to that open mic in Tokyo, 2 people came to see me. And they had seen me perform in Columbus, Ohio, a couple of years before. So, seeing me entirely across the globe is really about as far apart as you can get and still be on the same planet. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is that's like one of the greatest things that I enjoy so much about finding you was the fact that there's so many layers to you. There's so much to you. It cracks me up. It went from just like you being such a positive person, and that I think like is such a fresh relief online compared to everybody else, to you were on the Tonight Show, to the Japan, like, and then all your blogs. And I love that it's the greatest part too is I can find it all still. I can still go back and read this. You've kept these like journal entries almost, and it's so amazing to me. So in going to your album that was actually released today, number 7, Unreal Like a Dream, is harder to define as I rap for about 1 minute, and the rest of the time it's just music. I dreamt the guitar part and built the rest of the song around that guitar part. The lyrics are about the rest of that same dream. What was that dream?
The lyrics really kind of describe the dream about as well as I can remember it. I was just there and I was playing guitar. It was in the dream, it was actually this guitar that I was playing. And I don't remember the exact part now, but it was something where I was definitely had my fingers on these strings and I was sliding down. And the amazing part is when I woke up and recorded that, my finger positioning was almost exactly the same on the guitar when I recorded it as it was in my dream. And the reason that's so amazing to me is because I'm not classically trained.
Right.
So like, I don't know the notes that I'm playing. I don't know the chords that I'm playing, but apparently I've heard them enough that I could even visualize the finger picking position that I had. And then, yeah, it was just kind of the rest of the dream's a little hazy at this point because it's been a while, but it's, it was raining at one point and I just saw some random people staring at me. And so I just wrote down what I could remember of the dream in lyric form.
I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just like your positive attitude is so contagious. I'm sorry. But I wanted to ask about like your process of making music and stuff, because as you said, you don't I'm guessing do you not understand theory at all, or you don't understand theory? You don't, or how does that?
In the last couple of years, I've learned a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. Like I actually used an app called Musician, which knows what notes you're playing. It can actually understand what notes you're playing. And so I would do something like, oh, I do that. I just didn't know what it was called. Because the way I learned guitar was I would just randomly, okay, what happens if I do this with my fingers, or if I bend this string, or if I hit these together, or if I do whatever. And all those things had terms. I just didn't know them. The scales have certain ways that, most of these are supposed to be played in this scale and this pattern. And it's like, oh, so I'm technically learning something that I kind of knew, kind of didn't. I still have to like look stuff up if I'm looking at notes and stuff like that. So I have some idea on the music theory now, but because of the way I developed, it doesn't really dominate the way I make music. Right. Usually I'll just start humming something, or I'll just sit down and just start playing, and then I like what I hear, and then I just keep repeating that, and I record that, whether it's on the guitar first, or the bass first, or the keyboard first, and then build the rest of the song around whatever instrument I started on.
Okay. There was a video that I wanted to show you, a song that I had actually done that a lot of my chat has consistently brought up, and it's not that they're, how do I say this properly? It's not that they're making fun of me, but it's very iconic to them, I guess is a better way to say it. So I had wrote this song for class at one point, and there's as if you see chat, someone's already said it, bottom right Shaggy. Where's it at? There it is. So yeah, bottom right Shaggy has some groove on him, and I noticed that in your video you had top right Mission Man.
Talented,
you're grooving up here, and it's just, so now it's become now this ongoing joke that there's bottom right Shaggy, and then now there's top right Mission Man, and I thought that was one of the greatest things ever. It was before I saw that video, I decided to make it in this manner. The joke came around, and then we found you and saw that video, and I was like, yes, he did it like I did it. So that was one of the other things I wanted to show you. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about was your friend Henrique Couto. I don't want to say his name incorrectly.
Hendrik Couto.
So he was your director, right?
For playing a little basketball, yes.
Yeah. How well do you know him?
So like I'm not super close to him, but I met him, I guess, in like 2005-ish when I played at Elbows and Chins in Dayton, Ohio. And he was making music at the time. He wasn't a full-time movie maker yet. And then I didn't see him for years. And then I saw him again at an open mic at South Park Tavern in Dayton, Ohio. And we kind of caught up. And then like we kept dibs on each other's career, kept tabs on each other's careers. And I watched him become a full-time filmmaker, and he continued to, watch my music career take off or develop.
Because I have a theory that he's under disguise. It's Justin Wang in disguise. Because they look so similar. I love his style though. The guy needs to keep rocking that style. Does that not look almost just like him? Like they're like twins. So you might want to.
I'm gonna have to confront him on this. I'm gonna have to see, but I have to do it carefully. It's got to be in a public place,
right?
Because if he's that good at disguising and having a double identity, who knows what else is going on? He's got a couple of passports. It doesn't even know his real name anymore. So I got to make sure that I'm doing this in a public place when it happens.
Oh my gosh! I also wanted to ask a little bit about playing a little basketball, because you have like 15 people with you here, and for me, I hardly know 15 people online, let alone near me to do a video with me. Like, how did that go about? How were you able to get the whole group together and stuff for that?
So that was, I actually, if you could call me a producer at that point, that was my only casting call. You've watched a bunch of my videos, you know that most of my official music videos, it's just me. Like I'm leaving the camera stationary and doing whatever, and then doing all the editing. For that, because I didn't want a video of me just shooting layups and shooting 3-pointers and like grabbing at the time. I decided that I needed a director for the video, and I needed to put a team together. And so I put together like a Facebook event and said, hey, come out and join this. And I had 7 people confirmed like 2 days before the shoot was supposed to happen, and I finally got the 3 others to confirm. Otherwise, it would have been a 3-on-3 video, which we could have done. And ultimately, I ended up with like 2 more people, so I ended up having a ref and then just a friend that was just sitting on the sideline, obviously just not paying attention to anything, playing on his phone while we were playing the game. But yeah, this is all through a Facebook event, and it ended up being 3 of the people were in a group called Counterfeit Money Machine, and then another one is in a group called Dipspit, and Dipspit's a Dayton-based band, and Counterfeit Money Machine's a Cincinnati-based band, and we had all kind of performed together in some way or another at shows, and so it ended up being just kind of like 3 bands getting together, and then a couple other fans in there as well.
Can you explain what that is? Date space? What was it?
Oh, Dipspit.
Dipspit?
Yes. I'm not sure. I mean, I know what Dipspit is. I don't know exactly how they decided upon that name, but it's just 2 guys, Chatham and Lane, that make. Oh, and Greg Schultz, who's known as the conga ninja in the group, because he just really does just play the conga drums. But the lead vocalist raps and plays guitar, and then his friend also raps a little bit, and they've got a lot of a hype kind of show going on. Like, I've done a couple shows with them where they had a flag that they were just running around in a circle like it was a wrestling event, because they're all big wrestling fans.
Yeah.
They go out and watch the local wrestling up there in Dayton.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a bit of a wrestling theme going on when they're doing their shows.
Yeah, I used to have buddies that were really into the what was it called? The NXT? Was that the name?
I'm not that big of a
wrestling fan to know.
Guy myself. I know WWE, which used to be WWF, and then WCW, and that's,
yeah. Okay.
That's my alphabet soup for wrestling.
Those are all the letters I know for wrestling. So a lot of people want to know in the chat about your your new album. They want to know about like your favorite song, the process, how we continue to find musical inspiration 30 years in and stuff like that. And that was actually a question I had for you too, was you really approach your music in such a positive manner. And like for me, I'm a big metalhead, so like metal music really is usually like raw negativity type stuff, and I don't listen to it and feel negative. I still feel positive hearing it, and like I enjoy it and stuff. With your music, it's genuinely happy from what I've gathered. It's yeah, you care to comment?
Yeah, most of it's genuinely happy, and I mean, I've gone through phases. Like I've listened to 9 Inch Nails and Rage Against the Machine and Tool in the 90s and the early 2000s, even listen to a little bit of Megadeth. And so, like, for me, when I was listening to the metal, it was more about appreciating the music, because the music is extraordinarily complex. When you get into these double bass drums and the guitar riffs that are based on classical music a lot of times.
Yeah.
But at some point, I stopped listening almost altogether. Like, I still listen occasionally, but I think I just wanted to have less aggression in my music. But I also understand that the aggression in the music doesn't necessarily mean the person listening to it is going to be more aggressive.
Right.
They can easily just appreciate the song for the song. But for me, I just want to make positive music for the most part. And then there are other times where I have serious things to deal with, like even on the new album, Living in My Memories was about the whole COVID thing. If I moved to a new city 6 months before coronavirus hit, and so I basically didn't hug anybody for 7 months, and that song was me kind of dealing with that level of loneliness. But once I got out of that, it allowed me to get back into the songs that I wanted to make. But those songs, I think, are still important to make, not just for me therapeutically, but to have them on the album, so that once you feel that, you can experience why I come out of that into the happier places.
Okay. So then what would your favorite song on the new album be, and what do you think the happier ones would be, and what do you think the more serious ones are?
So the more serious ones, I think, are the ones that we've already mentioned. The Unreal Like a Dream, even though it's a little obscure and abstract, there's a little bit more serious feel to it. The Living in My Memories obviously is going to be the most serious one. That one's almost like a dark wave track. And then my favorite is track 9, because I couldn't have made that song more than 6 months ago. Like, there's musically, I would not have been able to do it. Because it's in 9/4 time with a bass line that starts on 2. This musically, complex enough that I wouldn't have been able to do it. And the weird thing about making that song actually is I played the bass line and I recorded the bass line. And that's one of the few times where I just recorded like 9 measures of it and then looped it. Most of the time I will play something all the way through the entire song.
Right.
But it wasn't until I was trying to record the drums and I'm like, I'm playing the drums right. Why is there still more music happening at the end here? So I had to really listen to be like, oh, that last measure is actually 6 beats instead of 4.
Right.
It's like 4 beats of 4, 4 beats of 4, 4 beats of 4, and then a beat of 6. And then, I looped on from there and started over again. So that's where the 9/4 time signature comes in. But it's also, it's still, even with that complexity, it's still an energetic song. It's still like I listen to it and get pumped up, and you can listen to it almost like it's a 4/4 song. Just like if you don't know music, you just be like, oh, this is still just a somewhat normal song, and has a lot of energy and has lyrics that you can relate to quickly, but also has so many metaphors and stuff going on with it that you'll get something new each time that you listen to it. So I think the combination of all those things makes that song my favorite. The most positive ones probably are Homonym for Haha. It's just a fun song with a bunch of, it's just a very punny song, really. Like there's a lot of play on words in there.
I had to go look up what hominin meant. So.
Yes, a lot of times I'll say homonym for haha and people will give me a synonym for haha. I'm like, no. A homonym for haha is actually a synonym for sounds like fun. So that's the actual play on words, even within the title of the song. That's the play on word. And I talk at one point, I'm like, I just listened to a Doja Cat song and it made me laugh so hard I hurt my calf. I don't know if you know the song Moo. It's not really. It's definitely a meme song.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's probably the most positive one on there is Homonym for Haha.
Okay. And then so what does the future hold for this album? Are you going to be touring on it or?
So right now, that's still a little up in the air. I'm focused a lot on the digital side of things, trying to grow the fan base a bit more. But I do still plan on going on tour in April or May. I just had to kind of figure out the dates if that makes sense. And I definitely want to hit Ohio, where I know I have some existing fan base. So Cincinnati, Dayton, Columbus, probably Athens, Ohio. If I can pull it off, Oxford, Ohio. It's a little complicated because it's a college town. It's the one I grew up in, but it should have a great music scene, but it doesn't because most of the bars there are cover bands instead of original, or they do DJs. So those 5 I definitely want to hit. And then if the numbers are saying, hey, I now have this many fans along this place, I'll try to get that booked in as well.
Well, if you ever stop by Arizona, like I said, I'll be there front and center. So. Well, with that said, so with like you've already toured before that you've mentioned and such, and that means you go through like a lot of bars and stuff like that. But you don't seem to be like a drinker or partier or smoker or anything like that. Is that the case, or how does that work out?
I think I've been drunk once in the last 10 years. I've never smoked weed. I've never done any kind of drugs. It's just not something I ever really wanted to do. Oh. And but playing in the bars, I mean, that's just kind of where most of the music venues have been. I've tried to do coffee shops before, and there's one in Athens that works because they have a dedicated music room that's kind of closed off from the rest of the coffee shop. Yeah. The other ones that I've played have been like, can you play more quietly? And you've heard about music. It's not the death metal stuff. It's not heavy. It's not even rock. It's just they are used to people doing acoustic covers, essentially, something that people can still order an espresso over the top of the music if they need to. And so coffee shops didn't really work. And then the other all ages venues and non-alcoholic venues, they've been, it's just part of the music industry where it's basically you're playing at bars and stuff like that, because it's so much of their business model is based on alcohol that it's hard to find an alternative way to do it. Yeah.
Speaking of live streams, there was another quote that I had read from you that was, or not live stream, sorry. Speaking of live shows, there was a quote that you had said. It was, of course, there was the very special open mic moment at Stadium in Oxford, Ohio, in the fall of 2004. After 5 weeks of being ignored and booed, I tried one last time and 3 people went crazy. Those 3 turned into 40 in a few weeks, and 2 months later, I was performing for 120 people in my hometown. Go ahead and talk about that. That's phenomenal to be able to go from, like you said, 3 people all the way up to 120. Like that's a huge jump in a short time.
Yeah, and that's another one of those where it started off as kind of a negative that I turned into a positive. So I had a show booked at that same venue for a Friday night, and a week before I was supposed to play, they told me they had double booked it, and the guy that was performing actually had a lot more followers than I did, so they gave it to him. And like, but just come out for an open mic sometime. And I had never been to an open mic before. This is actually how I got my open mic start. And so after a couple of weeks of being kind of like hemming and hawing and being nervous about it, I went ahead and did it. And this was back before I was really playing instruments, so I just had my keyboard with the music that essentially had Playing Low Basketball, Weightlifting Jam, Chillin' with the Papa, and like 2 other songs that I could do. And yeah, it was just blank stares for the first 4 or 5 weeks, almost like I didn't existed. Occasionally people would like boo me to get me off stage, but mostly it just felt like I was in the twilight zone, like I was there, but I wasn't there. And then I decided to give it one more chance, which was that medley of Playing Low Basketball, Weightlifting Jam, and Chillin' with the Papa. And as soon as I finished those three did just start, the 3 fans started clapping really loud and told me they were going to bring more people the next week, and they did. And that grew from there. And the other people at the open mic, one of them brought his entire dorm out essentially one night. And so while there was a contest at the open mic, like first place would actually get a cash prize, and I never got first, but there were a couple other people there that were bringing enough people out on a Wednesday night that I still got their friends and fans to be my fans. Okay. And so I think that's part of how I grew so quickly. And then did that show that brought out 120 people in a place where the fire capacity is probably 100. So it's very tight. I had to wait for them to stop chanting the first time I played because I couldn't hear myself. I couldn't hear my music. They just kept yelling Mission Man. And I'm like, all right, I love this, but at some point, if you want to hear me play, you must stop.
That's so awesome, though. It's just like I've been saying, just putting yourself out there just can really have a lot of return, and just being relentless like you were, I think it showed. It shows the return that you got from it. And that's a really tough thing to do, is to come back from everyone booing you or telling you you're bad and putting you down and stuff. Because like I had that issue kind of like growing up with a lot of people just being like, no, not for you, dude, don't do it. And I ended up going to school for it and kind of like getting good at it, I guess you could say. And now a lot of the people that doubted me are like, chewing their words back and stuff. So it's just that's why I've come to really enjoy you as a person overall and everything, and just your tenacity with everything. And I think everyone in chat needs to learn like at least a little bit from you. So I wanted to ask you about this one right here. So you said I am a conscientious hip hop musician and have been rapping since 1992. What is a I can't even say the word again. Yeah. What is that? I know what conscientious is, but what is a conscientious hip hop musician? What does that entail?
I think I was just going for something that showed that I was thoughtful and tried to be positive in my lyrics, trying to get just a 1-word quick description to kind of convey that.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm curious, did you ever do any, because I when I emailed you initially, I had told you what my channel was and all of that stuff. Did you ever reach out, or not reach out, but did you ever go and look at any of my content or anything like that?
What is the butt stuff? Hold on.
I'm not white trash! Stop! Oh my god!
Nice cock.
Honestly, like I looked and saw that you had like 267 followers or something like that, and saw I think I watched like 30 seconds of one video just to get a feel for you.
Okay.
But I've been so between the new album and actually I flew to Cincinnati over the weekend. I kind of put everything else on pause for a while.
It probably works better if you got too far in my content. You may have decided not to talk with me, because I can be serious, but a lot of like what my content is just kind of being a jackass and having a good time online and stuff, and everyone in chat makes fun of me. It's just like it seems like we're all mad and angry, but we're all just having a good time laughing and making fun of each other and stuff. And so I didn't want you to feel like that was what we were trying to do to you or anything like that. So I'm kind of glad you didn't go on a deep dive of me.
Had there been any roasting, it might be better that I wouldn't have been prepared. We'll see how
But no, I mean, I think, like I've been saying all night, I think you're a gem of a human being. I think there's not enough people like you online anymore, and I that's about the best I can say for it all. And once again, happy birthday! If anyone has some extra cash on them, please not give it, but please go purchase this man's album. It is you said your 14th?
Yes.
So it's his 14th album. This man has 14 more than I do. I've got like one song written right now, so it's like now I saw a video of you saying something about the CDs and signing the inside of it and stuff like that. Dude, are you doing it to all of them?
Yes. So just, leave a note in there that you want an autograph. You can ask for a specific message if you want to, but otherwise I'll just come up with something. And I intentionally left this first page blank because I did that same thing on my first album, Insert of My Mind. Okay. And it worked out really well. I mean, I did it at the time for cost, but it worked out really well because anytime somebody would buy a CD, they'd be like, hey, can you put your autograph on there? Because I released it before I was 18. Like most of my friends were still in high school. The people who were buying it like they were high school students and just thought it was really neat that I actually put out my own CD. And so they wanted the autograph just to have it,
That's super awesome that you've held up for 14 albums. You still have like a remnants of your very first one. It's still there. The Mission Man has always been there.
Yes.
Do you have any questions or anything else?
I don't think so. I think we've covered a lot more than I thought we would. Most people aren't going back to video blog posts of mine from 10 years ago or a Facebook post from 2006 or whatever, 2009, whatever it was. So.
One of my favorite things is deep dives on the internet. I think those are the coolest things. That's why I made the statement that you've documented so much, and it's so cool that I can go back and be with you 10, 15 years ago and stuff. And I think it's super awesome. And I think, that's the real point, in my opinion, of what an internet deep dive is finding these gems that no one knows about enough of, and they should. So
I agree.
What music do you personally listen to in your own time? Because like me, I listen to a lot of music, but I listen to like 4 bands in real life. Like I listen to a lot of just everything because I do music and I have to listen to other people's music and whatnot. But overall, my own like go-to when I'm at the gym, I listen to like 4 or 5 bands. It's the same groups every time. So I was curious about your taste and what you do in your personal life.
So my main playlist probably has about 600 songs on it. 80% of that is probably the 80s music that I grew up on. So like my top 5 artists are Michael Jackson. Let me do this in order. Prince number 1, Michael Jackson number 2, the Beastie Boys, or Talking Heads 3, Beastie Boys 4, and Lindsey Sterling is 5th. Lindsey Sterling is the modern one that's in there. I don't know if you're familiar with Lindsey or not, but
I'm not sure.
She plays violin, and like dance. She got started on America's Got Talent. So she plays violin while dancing. And I saw her play last summer. At one point, she was hanging upside down, spinning around in a circle while playing the violin.
Okay.
And it was just like, what?
She's the one that made the violin hip hop EDM stuff, right?
Yes, that's how she started off. That was her original brand, was hip hop violinist.
Okay, yeah, I do remember her. Oh yeah, Albie remembers her too. Oh, Lindsey Sterling.
She is the only artist that I've ever covered. There is the Upside, where El King sings it. She sings it well. I do not sing the song well, but Lindsey was taking submissions to be in one of her videos. So on YouTube, there is a video of me doing every single instrument from it, although I'm playing the violin on the keyboard. But back to the other musicians, it's like Billy Joel and a bunch of other 80s stuff like Tears for Fears and stuff like that are the main ones on my playlist. And then I also listen to some independent bands, sometimes because I've played with them, sometimes because as I'm submitting my music to curators, I also have my own playlist, has by 300 followers on it. So I do get submissions from artists wanting to put their music on my playlist, and my playlist it doesn't. I mean, that 300 followers doesn't really mean anything. It's just whether or not I'm going to listen to the song.
Right.
So I've discovered some artists that way because they've put through enough effort that they've manually submitted, whether through SoundPlate or whatever, Submit Hub, whatever system they're using, to get onto playlists. The fact that they're working that hard to do it, I give them a listen. If I like them, I just, put them onto my playlist. So like I discovered Sparksea recently, SPARXSEA.
Okay.
And then, like I listened to Cassandra Kabinski because I played with her at a show in 2006. But, so mostly 80s music and then a bunch of other little things like that.
Okay. So have you ever had like a rap battle or anything? Like, has anyone ever came up to you like at one of your shows and been like, yo, spit, like, let's go? And like,
I've had a couple of situations. There was one where somebody wanted to battle rap me, and I was like, I don't really battle rap, but we can just take turns, freestyling.
Yeah.
And so that's just what we did. So it became like a friendly battle, I guess.
Okay.
And then there's one pretty funny story about a coworker of mine. His name's Noah. He's actually been in some movies. He was in an episode of New Girl as well. But he delivered pizzas with me at the time and was like, we're going to rap battle. We're going to rap battle in the lobby. And he won. He wasn't rhyming most of the time, but he was just vicious, like some of the most vicious stuff. I don't remember what he said, but it was so mean that I couldn't really reply to it. Like, he clearly won on the meanness factor, even though he wasn't rhyming all the time. So I was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm retired. I haven't battle rapped since.
If you guys have any real questions for Mission Man, please put them in now so that we can go ahead and ask them. From chat, we have Batty, which thank you for hanging out, Batty. Is what is your favorite instrument to play? Other than singing, because I think that would probably be your go-to.
that always comes back to whatever I'm best at the time.
Okay.
So probably the guitar most of the time. Okay. Otherwise the keyboard.
All right. What is from Chef? And again, thank you for hanging out as well, Chef. What is your favorite place to perform and your favorite song, as well as your favorite song to perform? Because those might be different, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm always biased towards my newer stuff. So since track 9 is my favorite song on my new album, it is actually my favorite song that I've ever made. And then my favorite to perform is probably Extra. Because enough people know it that they get into it, and they'll start doing the chorus with me and even start rapping along in the verses with me. So it's just the level of crowd interaction with that makes that one my favorite to perform.
Okay. Batty also asks, has he heard of Yodeling, and does he like it? It's such a random one, Batty. Have you ever heard of Yodeling, and do you like it?
I was just getting ready to try to yodel, and I started doing it, and I remembered I went to a playoff game this weekend and lost the high end out of my voice. So yodeling would sound like this right now.
You sound like Shaggy. So we got the new Shaggy, guys. It's his channel. Let him have it. So real quick with the sports then, because you did mention that you went over to one of the playoff games over the weekend, right?
Yes, I'm a Bengals fan.
Okay, well, I'm not very big in sports other than hockey. Hockey's my go-to thing, but it seems between playing a little basketball and like you have songs to exercise to and going to the game, yeah. And it seems like you making your own jersey as well, or jersey style, and so it seems like you have this athletic kind of passion, I guess you could say, yeah.
Yeah, I used to obviously I used to play a little basketball. Like I played in high school and wanted to play in college, and even after college, I had aspirations of playing professionally, but I was never good enough. I mean, like I had a 37-inch vertical before I broke my ankle, and then it dropped down to 25. So had I kept that vertical, I might have played in college because I could 360. It was a lot of fun, but college wasn't going to happen. But it's still passionate about playing basketball. Football is actually my favorite to watch, and so I've been a Bengals fan since I was a kid, and they won their first playoff game in 31 years over the weekend. So that is a lot of kind of built up pressure that just got it exploded in the crowd, and it was the loudest environment I think I've ever been in.
Okay.
Watching that win.
Yeah, being in those types of environments, being around people, like I've been to bars before where I'm not even, again, not a very big like basketball fan, and they were watching basketball, and everyone starts cheering at one point. I just wanted to be like, yeah, I didn't even know who the hell's playing. But yeah, when you get in that environment, it's very I don't want to say therapeutic, but it's very energetic. You feel it like inside of you and such. So yeah, I can see that being a lot of fun.
Yeah, and winning after 31 years of not winning a playoff game, there's definitely catharsis there going on too. Just
and the weekend,
the amount of weight.
Yeah, and the weekend before your birthday and your album drop, and like,
yep.
Just to wrap back around to the album again, you named the album Gummy because your niece calls you Gummy. Is there a reason why she calls you Gummy, or is that just like, you know how kids kind of come up with names sometimes? So.
Yeah, I think she just started calling me it one day, and I don't know why. I don't remember exactly how it started, and she doesn't remember how it started. She asked me, she's like, "Why do I call you Gummy?" And I'm like, "I don't remember. You just started doing it, and it stuck."
You're like, "I don't remember, but you better keep calling me."
I think it was probably around the same time that I think she was like 6 or something. She was like, "You're stupid." And my response to her, because there are so many ways you could come with a response to that, but I'm just like, thank you. So, because you don't know how to respond to thank you when somebody calls you stupid. And so it just kind of, she affectionately calls me stupid too. And so, we get these things of, we talk about failing is fun. That's actually our trivia name when we go out and play trivia, because there's enough failing that you have to enjoy it along the way. And so that whole stupid Gummy thing works in with that same kind of situation.
So is album 15 going to be called Stupid with a track on there called Failure is Fun?
No, I almost did have the subtitle of this be just the right amount of stupid, though. Like, we were joking about that at one point. It was going to be Gummy and then just the right amount of stupid. But it didn't ultimately come to that. There is one set of videos that I did, though, where I had a lot of time on my hands. So I built a marble track in my like laundry room, and I would do marble races, but I would rap the commentary. And so that was me going Gum and Tums, Adventures in Failing, and where we think failing is fun. So failing is fun at least got its little rap moment in that commentary. That's good.
Chef says, Mission Man, soaring over depression. DP asks, is the music arcade still a possibility at some point, or is it forever shelved? Which games would you want in the arcade, your favorite games?
So I think it's fairly well permanently shelved unless I somehow become independently wealthy. I'd have to play the lottery to win it. Or if enough people start listening to my music that it explodes and I have, $100,000 to sink into this idea. But in terms of the games themselves, I would have a Street Fighter 2 machine, because that was probably the one I put the most quarters into. It'd be a whole bunch of the, the 80s and 90s stuff. I don't know that I would do too much of the newer stuff like you'd see at Dave & Buster's, because most of that is just like quarter eating stuff. So really just, nostalgic, and anything from 1975 to 1995, essentially.
And then he also wanted to know what are your favorite games then? Because you'd already mentioned that Street Fighter 2 was one of them.
So, arcade games, Street Fighter 2 is probably the one I played the most. And then home games, my favorite video game of all time is actually Phantasy Star on the original Sega Master System.
Okay.
It's very similar to Final Fantasy if you've played those games. But it's like Sega's version of that, essentially. It was the most impressive game I'd seen on an 8-bit machine at that point.
Right.
And then the sequels are good too. Probably not as good as the Final Fantasy sequels, but the original one is my favorite. And one other one that I will mention is Katamari Damacy, because it's one that, some people know and some people don't. It was one guy made this game, and to me, it's as addictive as Tetris. You're this tiny guy and you're rolling a ball. And as you roll this ball up, you pick things up and you get bigger and bigger. So you start off rolling up like paper clips, and then eventually you're rolling up people. When you roll up the people, they start screaming. You roll up the buildings, you have like 1,000 people screaming at once. And you're just rolling up all this random stuff.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I love that game. So there's actually a reference to that game in the music video for I Don't Need. I actually roll myself up with a Katamari style ball at one point in that video.
That's too good, man. That's I wanted to ask you, well, on the subject of games, do you remember the old school, what was the name of it? The Simpsons. It was the really old, like, I want to say it was 4-player Simpsons game.
Yeah, the arcade cabinet where like Marge would actually use her hair as a weapon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man, that is a flash from the past. I used to play that a lot. I loved that game. So see, I think it was calamari is what. Yeah, I messed up. I typed it wrong, guys. I'm really bad. I know. See, I can't do anything without being judged by these guys.
Well, calamari is the much more famous word, the one you're more familiar with if you don't know the game. Because without the game, it does. I don't think it means anything. It's Katamari. Yeah. If you're writing it out in kanji, which I have no idea how to actually write the Japanese symbols for it.
All right. Yeah. I guess this is. I got a lot more out of this than I anticipated on. So.
As you know, so did I.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else you're curious about, or this would be the time?
No, I think I'm definitely good on my end. If there, if any lingering questions out there, I'm glad to answer them. But
if you can, did you already send me your Instagram? I'm really bad with social media. Discord's like the only thing I use. I just like Facebook is just insane to go through. I sometimes like Reddit, and then it immediately becomes insane to go through, and then it's like I have to step back from social media. I'm just like, this is too much for me.
If you ever have too much of me and you want to calm down a bit, just get on Reddit. It'll bring you right back on down.
Reddit is a minefield sometimes. Like,
yeah. Anytime I get I check my YouTube analytics and I see referring sites, and anytime there's a spike from an external site, it's almost always somebody like hate posting on Reddit one of my videos, like, check this out, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Well, he topped himself with this one. This one's even worse. And I'm just like, all right, you're driving me traffic, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, for real. And I think one of the funniest things too is if that person, that, like you said, he's one, giving you free promotion, and then two, if that person spent half as much time like doing it himself, he might actually be decent at it instead of like trying to insult you and bring you down. And it's so crazy that these people's like mind frame online and how they think like that. Well, fuck this guy, I'm just gonna talk shit about him really quick, and then they sit there and don't do anything. It's like, well, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of those big mysteries for me. Is, I mean, like, some people, I think it's just they've been told no by somebody so often that it's just a natural, like, if they don't think they can do it because they've been told by somebody else, they're going to pass that same kind of message on to somebody else. And
yeah,
that's a cycle that obviously has to stop somewhere. Somebody has to start telling them yes, so they start believing in themselves and can pass that on to, having a positive attitude about other people. And then sometimes people just like being negative. It's fun to troll,
I mean, I've been a negative person before in my life, but never in the sense that I like wanted to like completely just demoralize a human being, I guess, in that sense. Like, it's one thing to pull up videos and have some laughs with your friends and stuff like that, and it's like another thing to try and reach out to as many other people you don't know and like make fun of them. It's just like, what are you garnishing?
When I saw Twilight and saw the guy's shirt come off and he started glittering in the sun, I definitely made fun of that on my own. But I wouldn't get on Twilight's Facebook page and be like, "Why'd you do this?"
Why would you guys want?
I'm not gonna publicly mock the creator, who actually put some effort into this, and it's just not the right. To me, it's never been the right thing to do, and I'm not sure why people feel so empowered to do it. But you know, from my perspective, it's just something I deal with and just brush it off.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably the best spot right here. I mean, I think that kind of sums up a lot of it, and how I found you, why I love you, and why I love your material. Every time I hear your music, it puts a smile on my face, and I hope for Chad, I hope that his music does the same for you. I hope that you guys take the time to actually go and listen to his music and go and show him some love, especially today on his birthday. But in general, keep showing him some love, keep going in his YouTube, checking him out, keeping tabs on him and stuff, because this man documents a lot of the stuff he does, and he's got a very interesting story. And if you guys take some time and listen, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as much as I have been. So before we head off, just the nice things that everyone is saying right now. DP Dish says, I'm glad to see the hate rolls right off of you. You're a treasure. Chef says, this man makes me feel good. Ubby agrees with him. And let's see. DP Dish says, having the ability to positively influence the moods of those around you is such a powerful thing. And then just a string of happy birthdays and hearts and everything else. So again, you're a total gem. Everybody go show this man some support. I'm about to personally, once I hop off, I'm about to personally go purchase his physical disc copy, because this man's going to sign it for me. As well, I will be purchasing a shirt as well to show some support, because I do like the design on the tank top one. I can't think. With that said, this is Mission Man. I'm gonna get and one last. I'm not important. Don't worry about me. Just one more clapping. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for showing up. So everybody, please go and support this man. He's a wonderful human being, and the world doesn't deserve such wholesomeness. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for showing up. Have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye now.